I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings in the movies, and I'm not proud of my address.
We're not just building muscle, we're building men. In the quiet hours, in the unfiltered moments, in the conversations that happen before the world wakes up. This is the Glue-OOM, where brotherhood forms in the dark so we can lead in the light, where vulnerability is strength and leadership is handed from man to man, one story at a time. Our mission is to empower, exhort, and inspire men to achieve their best selves through stories of reinvigorated male community leadership. We bring you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha packs, ordinary men doing extraordinary things in fitness, fellowship, faith, and leadership, because we believe that every man has a story, and reinvigoration starts when that story is shared. This is the Glue in the Gloom. Shout out to our sponsors, Avior Wealth Management, Liberty Core Real Estate, Major Team Mortgage, Exclusively Eye Care, Omaha Laser Dentistry, and McNamara Law Firm. We appreciate your support. Are you or someone you know in the market to buy a new home? Well, if so, check out Major Team Mortgage. They specialize in home purchase and refinance home loans. Their mission is to purposely empower people to experience their good life through building wealth with real estate. You know, showing up in the gloom is no different than showing up for a conversation around your future of building wealth with real estate. Join the action economy and get in the game with Sasquatch. Text or call John at 402-212-0149 to schedule a time today. Individual NMLS number 1393750. Company NMLS number 2478164. Equal housing lender. Now, let's get back to the gloom. And we're back. I'm super excited, and I can't stop kind of laughing or smiling because I'll never forget being at the shovel pass when this guy was getting the flag, and I thought he was going into this really heartfelt, sort of serious message, and then what he ended up sharing was the sort of the Lone Ranger, Lone Wolf speech from the Hangover movie, and it was just, oh man, the finesse and the way that was delivered was amazing. I just love that, right? I love getting to meet guys that are just different and bring some sort of levity to leadership, right? I think we can't take ourselves too seriously, and that's something I love when other guys teach me that. But if you haven't figured out, I've got my man Rooney on today, and I think excited to get your story, man, and excited to just kind of talk through your journey, and would love to just hear, like, what was the beginning like, who EH'd you, and I don't know if you remember the first workout. Would love to hear kind of what you remember from that as well. And then how'd you get the name Rooney? Most people may know, but would love to hear that story.
Yeah, glad to be here and excited to talk. And yeah, I would agree that speech, I was trying to think of, like, okay, how am I going to do this? And I never take myself too seriously, and I like to have fun. And that's where I was like, oh, we got to go with the Hangover speech here. And the lone wolf who joined a pack was the right fit for the moment.
Yeah, I love it. What was so going back to your EH journey? Do you remember who EH'd you? I guess would be good to know.
Yeah, I got EH'd by Girl Dad. I think he's got a pretty good roster of him that he's gotten out. I remember he talked to me once, and he was like, "Hey, F3 is coming to Papillion." And I was like, "Oh, I got no idea what you're talking about." He's like, "Well, aren't you on Twitter?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't know what you're talking about, man." And then he sent me a video, and there was all these guys like bundled up with nicknames, and I'm like, I don't really get what this is. And he's like, "Oh, it's a workout." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm in good shape. I can hold my own." And I kind of thought he was like challenging me in like a workout sense. And I was like, "Okay, like bring it on. I'm competitive. Like, let's do this." And then he told me what time in the morning it was, and I was like, no, like my mornings are full. Like I get up, I work out in my basement, and then get the kids ready and get to work. I'm like, no way. And he's like, well, it's at 5. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay, well, maybe. And then he's like, I'll pick you up. I'm like, darn it, I can't say no now. So our daughters went to school together at St. Columbkill. They're both the same age. So kind of got to know him through the St. Columbkill School and the St. Columbkill Church, and just a really good guy, and somebody that is just easy to get along with and good natured. He's a caring guy, and when he told me he was going to be in my driveway to pick me up, I was like, let's do this. And we went to Titan Alley on a Monday. I remember the workout when I showed up. I'm like, oh, I'll be able to hang with these guys, maybe even be a little bit ahead of them. And it was the exact opposite. I finished. I could not do 200 push-ups. I remember having to go to my knees for some, and then I also at the end I was surrounded by like five guys on the final run, and I was like, oh, these are nice guys. Like it was good that they were running with me. And then afterwards, I found out I was the six, and they were just trying to get me through it. So uh, it was a great start to my journey. I was glad that he brought me out, and I was one of those guys. Like once I went the first time, then I was like running hills on my treadmill to like better prepare so that I could
Mm-hmm.
dominate, trying to build my strength so I could complete the workouts in a little easier fashion. So
Yeah.
it was really, I greatly appreciate him taking me out because it was a great experience, and it's something that I've stuck with, and I think I'm really close to 5 years. I think that happens here kind of towards the end of the month. It'll be my 5 year mark.
That's wild. What do you remember what you said in the circle when they gave you the name, or did you even get a chance to say anything? They just kind of
I think
had
I
that written
said
down.
I think they were like, well, tell us about yourself, and I was like, well, I'm the principal at Petroleum La Vista South High School. And then I'm like, you guys can name me Belding. Uh, I'm a Saved by the Bell guy. I'm a
Yeah.
90s kid. And they were like, no, you don't choose your nickname. I was like, oh, okay. And then next thing you know, I was named Rooney, and that's probably a better fit.
Yeah.
Probably more of an Ed Rooney than a Dick Belding. So I don't remember saying a whole lot, but the names were flying. And there was two FNGs that day. It was me and Ear Tag. Um,
Nice.
and Ear Tag's still a constant guy. I mean, I saw him running this morning when I was at Steel Mill, and he was across the way at Sandlot. So yeah, me and him were the same day. He got Ear Tag, I got Rooney, and we both stuck with it.
I love it. When you say, from a fitness standpoint, right, that coming in thinking you were in good shape, what's been your fitness journey? Like, did you play sports growing up and like fitness kind of always been a part of your routine or?
Yeah, just absolutely love sports. I was a kid that grew up mainly basketball and baseball. Did some swimming too when I was really young. I was a really good swimmer, and if you look at how I'm built, I should have stuck with swimming. But jumping in a cold pool in winter and
Yeah.
training, practicing twice a day, I would always, when I was a little kid, it would be 5 a.m. and I would hear my sisters getting up because they both swam competitively. So it was before and after school, and I would hear them getting ready, and I'm like, oh, that's not for me. I wanted nothing to do with swimming. I wanted to play basketball, and they were in the same season. So I ended up playing basketball and baseball through high school. Didn't know really where my athletic journey would take me, but baseball kind of worked out better. Ended up going to play baseball at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. So I was a pitcher in college. Always, through sports, enjoyed that shared suffering
Yeah.
that exists through, going through a season, through training, through conditioning. So when I got to F3, I kind of found that again, that
Hmm.
shared suffering, that camaraderie was something that was just a great fit for me. So always tried to stay in shape after playing um, baseball in college. Always tried to work out. Kind of hit a rut when I switched jobs. I taught math. I was a JV baseball coach. Absolutely love coaching baseball. Love teaching math. Switched to being an assistant principal, and when you switch to administration, there's no more coaching. They don't let you do
Hmm.
both. So I was done coaching, and that was tough for me because baseball had always been such a special part of my life. And going from a competitive high school situation to coaching my 5 year old son in t-ball was just a little bit different.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I had a new level of stress at work, and I remember I was still trying to do some workouts. Summer was more of a heavy workout time for me because my schedule was lighter. And I remember working out in the summer with one of my friends, and we'd run a 5K, and I would just be like zapped, like I couldn't breathe well. I was dehydrated. I mean, I was cramping. I'm like, what is wrong with me? So I started getting into some strength training then on my own, doing some basement workouts in the morning, and that strength part really kind of helped get my body in a better position, and then found F3, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is way better and more perfect than working out by myself in the basement. And I brought in not only an added fitness component, but then it added in the fellowship time, which is so hard to get when
Mhm.
you're in your middle ages with kids and with busy work life. Like, you just totally miss that. And when you're able to get that in a time frame that is family friendly and a time frame that's work friendly, it's huge. And not only was I able to get that fitness component, but then I was also to um, connect with more individuals that were my age that were going through shared experiences. And that was just a huge addition and a huge bonus to being able to also increase that fitness level. So
Yeah.
just so many positives from it.
You mentioned starting with a Murph, which, like, thanks, girl dad, right, for bringing you in on a Murph Monday. But what was the rest of your sort of journey like? Do you remember? Like, did you hit? Were you leaning more towards the running sites or the coupon weight sites, or what's kind of been your where have you found
Yeah,
your
no,
rhythm?
I'm a creature of habit. And I did the Murph, and I was like, oh, this is great, and I wasn't missing a Monday after that. The
Mhm.
next Monday I was going to show up and do better than I did before. And then all of a sudden there was like, hey, there's the sanitarium on Tuesdays over at Monarchs, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can get up early twice, that early twice a week. And then I was like, nope, I better go try it. Went once, and it was like, oh, I can never miss this. And then after that, they were like, hey, there's a running one on Thursday. I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm in that running shape. But then I end up going to Sandlot, and I was like, oh, I can't miss that one. And then
Mhm.
um, Tater was, and some of the other guys were talking about, well, hey, what about getting a site going at Papio South where you work? And I was like, oh, yeah, that could be cool. So then we got
Can't beat
that
that.
going. And then I added in Wednesday. And then they added the farm. I'm like, oh, the farm will never work. It's way too far south. And then I went to the farm, as it was getting going. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how can I ever miss the farm and the
Yeah.
coffee and the camaraderie and the unique culture that exists there? And so then before I knew it, we were going from 1 day a week to 2 days a week to 3 to 4 to 5. And
Mhm.
now it's hard. Like, as I look at my week, I'm like, gosh, I just, I got FOMO when I don't go get a
Mhm.
workout in. My whole routine's off. So just slowly built up from there. Yeah, it started as 1, 2, and then as F3 grew, my workouts grew alongside of it, and just incredibly thankful for all the opportunities that exist each day of the week throughout the Omaha area. I'm not great at getting outside Papillion. I like
Mhm.
to get to work by normally most mornings. I'm here at 7:15, so
Yeah.
I don't branch out as well as I should
Yeah.
and get out to different sites. But all those Sarpy sites have just been really special. They all have that unique culture, and even this summer, they didn't need me at Danger Zone because we didn't have access to the stadium. They were redoing the turf. So then I was like, well, I'll go across the street to Mount O and do some cinder block workouts. And then I got addicted to that. And
Mhm.
like, any site I go to, I'm like, how do I leave this now? So
Yeah. Because when you started there, just kind of thinking through your journey, right? There was really, it would have been Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, maybe, right? I mean, I think
yeah,
yeah. So you
yeah.
got to be along for the ride as all those new ones launched.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, that's been a huge bonus of
Mm.
everything, is just seeing all of it kind of build. When I joined, I got done with that Monday Murph, and they were like, "Hey, we got to get you on our messages." And I'm like, "Okay." And Girl Dad put me on the Sarpy kind of group message, and I was the 20th member. Well, the iPhone capped it at 20.
Oh,
So then it was like, well, we got a problem, because if we add Rooney, he's 20. We got no room for anybody else. And then next thing you know, here comes the WhatsApp and the
yeah.
Sarpy group on there. And now, I mean, shoot, I'd hate to see how many people are in that thing. There's
Yeah.
in that and
Yeah.
Slack, there's tons of communication. And yeah, it's been neat to see it grow from something that in Sarpy started fairly small, and then has really taken off in that Papillion, La Vista, Ralston, Springfield, Gretna area. It's been really cool.
Yeah. Well, and you just see all the development, right, and expansion of the city itself, right? So then it's, every time I see a neighborhood sort of getting, built up, I'm like, well, where's the, hopefully they have a park in there. Or this, the
Right.
school better have good pull-up bars, right? That's sort of, as I'm watching all this development, and it seems like it's all over, right? I mean, it's really cool to see and just kind of forecast like, okay, where's the next location need to be so we can get guys out.
Yeah, 100%. I'm always driving around thinking, "Oh, that'd be a great hill, or that'd be a
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
workout, or you could do this there." Yeah, that's where your mind goes. You're thinking about workouts all the time and
Yeah.
how things could expand and take advantage of the city, the facilities, everything that there is to offer.
Yeah. What is you think about sort of your fitness journey? You feel like have you achieved some of those fitness goals? You feel like you're at a good spot, or do you still have a few other things you're trying to sort of achieve in that area?
Yeah, I think there's natural kind of ebbs and flows. There's times where, um, I'll start to feel like I'm kind of accelerating and pushing it more. There's other times where it kind of feels like it's plateauing. I think that's
Mhm.
natural. The great part about F3 is that you have guys around you that you're surrounded by that are doing the same type of things. I mean, when you're surrounded by people that are really pushing it, that motivates you to push it. I mean, oftentimes, kind of when
Yep.
I'm in that plateau, I'll be, at a workout, and like for example, I mean, Tweety did I think 75 days wearing a vest in a row and working out and doubling, and when you're surrounded by people that are accelerating and pushing it, that will push you to do those type of things. And that's the great thing about F3 is there's so many guys that are always looking for a new challenge, looking to push themselves, that kind of naturally just spreads to you. And that's, for me, it comes and goes sometimes with the seasons of what my life looks like outside with work and with family. But yeah, I'm always kind of up for a challenge. I haven't done anything too extreme like a 50 miler or
Yeah.
the Farver Murph hasn't got me out yet, but yeah, there's always opportunities for acceleration, and you're always surrounded by guys that are pushing themselves, and that just spreads. And that's one of the great things that I really appreciate about the group.
Yeah, the key word there is yet, right? Someday you'll probably wake up and be like, "I need to do that Farva Murph."
Yeah, our school resource officer just did 100, and he's like, "You should do a 50," and I'm like, "Oh man," I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
know, like the training time would be a potential issue, but
Yeah, I start thinking about how much time does that take? Is that a 4 or 8 hour,
yeah,
commitment, right? I can't, at least with my family right now, I can't commit to an 8 hour workout.
yes,
I would like to, but I just
yeah,
can't do it.
yeah. That's the challenging part of it.
Yeah, it is so cool because I think like so many guys just they're terrible ideas, right? Like the Farva Murph is a terrible idea, but all it takes is one guy to throw that out there, and then before you know it, it's like, well, I could do that, I could do that, and it's like, but these are things you would never do on your own. So I love how you called out like there's just the opportunities are endless, and there will always be somebody throwing out an idea that's like kind of stupid, but why not? Let's try
Why
it,
not?
right? Well, as you think about, so you mentioned Girl Dad EH'd you from St. Columkille, which there's a pretty big contingency of guys from there. I guess early on, when you came in, were there a lot of other guys, or have you been kind of part of the St. Columkille EH sort of machine, continuing to get guys to come out, or did you know guys when you showed up, or what was that like
Yeah, I
fellowship
mean,
wise?
mostly everybody to me was brand new, with the exception of Girl Dad.
Okay.
But I could tell from the get go, like when I'm meeting some of these people, you meet, like in my day when I was starting, I was surrounded by like Jean Claude was running Titan Alley. And I'm like, geez, this guy's amazing. And I'm meeting Firewalker and I'm meeting Knobs and like just some of those kind of historic Sarpy F3 names with KOA. And I mean, just you meet all those people and you're like, holy moly, like these are awesome people. Like these are the type of people that you want to be surrounded by. It's the iron sharpens iron. You're the average of the people you spend time with is no truer. And when you are able to join a group like that, you hope you add to the group, but then also you're just so thankful for what that group does for you personally. So once he brought me into that kind of circle and I got to meet those guys, I realized like, man, this is great. So everybody you're talking to, you're like, hey, you got to come out. And people hear the early morning and they get scared off, but just the people that are in the group are so just amazing people that are they're all about serving others as opposed to serving themselves. They're selfless. They're servant leadership individuals, and when you get around those people, it really benefits you. So, girl dad would talk to other people that are kind of in our friend group, and once they hear who else is all joining it, I remember girl dad being like, "Hey, I'm working on Z-Bass, who's now actually Levy. He's working on Levy to get out. And I'd be like, yeah, Levy, you got to come out. And he's like, oh, I'm training for it, and give me another month. But yeah, all of those guys that are kind of in our friend group would all eventually come, and then they would stay because they found the same thing that, girl dad found, that then I found, is just such a great group with great individuals.
That's awesome. It's so cool to hear. And that is sort of how it happens, right? Before you know it, it's like the odd man out is the guy in your friend group that isn't, posting, right? And then there's one guy in our circle that he's basically just like vowed to not come out, just to sort of be that guy, but we'll get him eventually. But what, as you were getting into the group and, thinking about like, you've got to get to work early, right? So I don't know, were you able to, like, was coffee a helpful sort of space, or was it during the workout? Where did you kind of find, opportunity to build relationships?
Yeah, I should probably blame F3 for my coffee addiction. At first when I got into it, I was like in such a hurry of, well, the workout's done, I got to go. And, as time goes on, once you get to experience some of that second and third F, you realize like, oh my gosh, there's a whole nother piece to this,
Yeah.
and, when I'm able to stay for coffee, I mean, coffee's amazing. Just the time to connect with guys, get to know them better. That's one of the great things about Steel Mill and Sandlot, is that second F piece that's shared between the two groups afterwards. That was one of my favorite parts as leading the Steel Mill. Was, I mean, I always thought like, oh geez, we got to do coffee every week. That's gonna be kind of hard, and figuring out the logistics of that. And there's that was cake. It was worth it so much, just because of the camaraderie and that second F time that it gives, and the impact it has on all the guys, that it's definitely worth it. So yeah, once you start getting into that second F, I think probably, um gosh, one of my first 2 months, girl dad said, hey, I'm going to pick you up, we're going to go do the CSOP. And I was like, well, what's going on with the CSOP? And it was at Exarban. It was the Shawshank CSOP. And I mean, I was still fairly new into F3, and I didn't really know what I was getting into with that either. And then I did one CSOP, and now I'm addicted to CSOPs. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not only because of the intense workout, but then the fellowship, the connection with guys from across the whole F3 community. Every time you get a new experience with an F3, I don't know if I've ever had a bad experience. Like, I can't tell you I've ever done something in F3 and been like, oh, I never want to do that again. I mean, sometimes
Right.
the workouts, you're like, oh boy, that would be a challenge to go back through that. But I mean, the second F part, the third F part, when you combine all that, makes the culture and the group just so amazing, and it is what it is.
Yeah. What, I would be curious, because you have a few people that you work with, right? That you've EH'd.
Yeah. I mean, I was surprised by how many people are like, well, I've been seeing your tweets. I follow you on Twitter, so I showed up, and, yeah, I work with, Sundance. He's a history teacher here. Feeney is one guy that I EH'd, that I work with here, at Papio South. He's a basketball coach and a history teacher. I did the same thing girl dad did to me, I did to him. I was like, hey, I'm going to be in your driveway tomorrow morning, at 5 a.m. and you're going to come to this group with me. And he's like, okay. He didn't even hesitate. And then I took him to the sanitarium for a patent workout. It was, the Beast.
Mm.
and Patton absolutely killed us. And I forgot to tell Feeney, like, hey, modify as needed, or hey, it's me. I threw him in a group with, it was Ferd Trench, Firewalker, like all these guys that were
Yeah.
just peak performance shape. And then on the way home, I had to pull over and let Feeney out for a little. He needed to.
Spill
He
some
needed,
Merlot a little bit.
yeah, yeah, needed a break to clear his system. So, um,
That's
yeah, I
funny.
mean, I think when you bring those new guys, you're sharing a gift that's been given to you, and I probably have not done enough EHing lately. Like I'm thinking, okay, now who's around me at this stage of my life that could really come
Mhm.
out and benefit from that. But the guys I work with that have came, like, yeah, it's they absolutely they find the same thing I did, and they love it.
Yeah. What I would be curious when you think about like fellowship and just relationships, what have you noticed an impact on some of those relationships, like your relationship with girl dad or even some of the guys you work with? Has it brought those to sort of some new levels?
Yeah, because it gives you more. I mean, it gives you time to connect. I mean, when your relationships that you have when you're at this place in life, when you're in your 30s, when you're in your 40s, you don't have a lot of time to connect. And when you
Mhm.
do connect, it's just very random. And this gives you consistent time to connect. I mean, some of my best conversations are during those workouts when you're going through that pain together, but then you're
Yeah.
also not even experiencing the pain probably as much as you would on your own, because you're having conversations that are, getting to know each other and talking about things that are challenges, and sometimes things that are just fun, and you're distracted while going through that uh,
Mhm.
pain and that workout, some of that suffering, because you're having those conversations, and that's really important to have. I mean, it's not easy. Life's full of challenges, and it's not easy to go through. Being a husband, being a dad, being having your work life, and that stage of life has its challenges. And when you're able to connect with others and share those challenges and hear COTs, and you connect on a much deeper, more meaningful level, which helps you take on the day
Mhm.
to the best of your abilities.
I love it. Yeah, I think that's been my experience too. It's just like you said, it's that consistency and the frequency, right? And I there's a couple guys I work with that are also in F3, and it just for whatever reason, right? When you see them, it's just sort of like a mental note of like, okay, because you also get a little better glimpse into sort of the type of man that somebody is, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
you know sort of understand your goals are shared, all that same stuff, but you mentioned family. Give us sort of the lay of the land. So married, how many kids you have? Boys, girls? What's that look like for
Yeah,
you?
I've been married for 18 years. My wife, Kelly, is in the nursing area. I have three kids. I have a daughter who's here at Papio South with me. She is a sophomore.
Mm.
A son who's a seventh grader, and then I have a daughter who is our third child is 4 years old. We have a
Okay.
huge gap. I was working out once. I was working out. I was doing a Murph, and one of the guys said to me, he goes, "So you have a newborn?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "What about your other kids?" I said, "Well, my son at that time, my son was like a fifth grader, and my daughter was like an eighth grader." And he's like, "Oh, so when did you get remarried?" I'm like, "Oh no, like this is the same marriage." Like
Yeah,
we just took a huge gap between
yeah,
child two and child three. So yeah, family with three kids, two girls and a boy. They're really active. Just extremely blessed with
yeah.
not only a strong wife, but also just just three great kids that they're my world. And if I'm not working, uh, I'm dedicated to them and the
Yeah.
family. And if I have time outside of that, that's at 5 a.m. when I'm bundling up in the winter, or out in the summer, just sweating and enjoying F3.
Timing wise, it sounds to me like you started F3, you got real fit and sexy again, and then in comes this other child. I don't know. That's just how I'm
Yeah,
seeing it, but
that
maybe not.
I don't know if that happened or not, but wife would probably tell you some
Uh,
drinks, the an
that's
off
funny.
an off past night. But no, it was. our third child, Macy, is just such a blessing. I mean, I
Yeah.
sometimes talking to people, I'm always like, when they're like, I don't know if I should have another kid. I'm like, oh, I would not trade anything. I mean, it was hard to kind of go back to diapers and crying and things like that. But my third journey through being a dad, I've been a much better dad, and I've just enjoyed all the steps that much more.
I love it. What does your family think of F3? Have they been out to any workouts, or what do they think of this kind of dad recess thing that you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think they at first were like, "What is going on here? Like, what are you doing on social media?"
Yeah.
And then why do you have a trophy on your dashboard?
With what?
Why are you carrying weights in a concrete block? And
Yeah.
how early did you get up this morning? And, I mean, there's a lot of those questions, but no, I think they totally understand. I think they understand that it's a time for me that doesn't disrupt the rest of the family, where I can do things that I enjoy, where I can connect with other men. That I think they think it's kind of funny. My wife, or my sophomore daughter, the other day said, "Hey, there's kids going around school saying Jeff Spilker, 43 Rooney." And I'm like, oh geez, I'm like, these kids have found the video, and they're like, yeah, they must have found your tweets, and
Oh,
now
that's
they're all
funny.
going around the school behind your back saying Jeff Spilker 43 Rooney and giving knucks. And I said, oh, that's great.
That's awesome. Get those kids out, right? They come work out with us, right?
Oh yeah, I know. And there has been students that come out and work out, and I enjoy it. It's good for them.
That is fun. I love it. What about kind of still on the fellowship side? Have you had any opportunities to either be in a shield lock or do any sort of whetstone kind of mentorship stuff at all? Has any of that come up?
Yeah, not directly. I probably haven't done enough of that kind of officially with there's a lot of, I would say, unofficial, stuff in that area with guys that when guys are pushing themselves, they don't realize it, but they're pushing me too. I try
Mhm.
and I get very motivated by seeing others being motivated. Probably the thing that has really spread to me the most is the discipline aspect of it. I would say 5, 6 years ago, if you would have said, "Hey, what's the most important thing for success?" I would have said, you really need to be motivated. You got to be somebody who's motivated. You got to be constantly trying to motivate yourself. I would have been big on the motivation, inspiration aspect of things. Now I would tell you the most important quality you can have is to be disciplined,
Mhm.
and be disciplined in everything that you do if you want to experience success. And that's probably one of the things that has spread to me the most from F3 is just saying, when you're surrounded by others that are disciplined, that are going to do things whether they feel like it or not, because those are things that are going to be helpful to them, not only physically, but mentally, spiritually. That really motivates me and inspires me and spreads to me. And there's a lot of mornings where the alarm goes off and I'm like, I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
I'm still asleep. I'm tired. I got a lot going on, but it's like, nope. I'm gonna stay disciplined. I've made this commitment, and I'm gonna be there. And that, if I was trying to do that on my own, I don't think it would happen.
Mhm.
Um, and when you're surrounded by individuals that are doing the same thing, that just spreads to you. So I was
Yeah.
reading something today that was like, hey, if you want to be more consistent with your workouts, you should fill your water bottle up the night before, and you should set your workout clothes out the night before. And I'm like, that's what F3 does for you. You don't need to do those things because that's what F3 is. It's all prepared for you. You just gotta, show up and get there. And once you get there, I mean, I don't think I've ever regretted a workout. Like I've never
Mhm.
gotten up and been like, oh, I got to force myself to go, and then afterwards been like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Like I never regret it because it's so great each and every time I go.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed for me on so I'm about 3 days a week. I get to post, and then the other days I'm at home doing weights or something here. And I'll have this like idea on my non F3 days. I'm going to get up super early and do that, but for whatever reason, it's still harder to wake up then on the days I know there's some other guys waiting for me or that I've, committed to go and meet. So, something in that sort of internal alarm clock that just when you've committed, and to be in there seems like it. I don't know. It sticks a little bit better. But what you mentioned a couple times, faith being an important part of the journey. Would love to just dive into that with you. Kind of hear what's been your journey over the years from a third F or faith perspective.
Yeah, and uh, I mean, I'm in that area. It's a challenging area because of the busyness of life.
Mhm.
There's times where I've fallen off my path of consistent church. Oftentimes when that happens, it's when I'm in busy seasons with kids. When we're sitting there with 8 a.m. baseball games on a Sunday or 9 a.m. baseball games with my son. It's like we're not fitting in that spiritual component consistently as much as we should in our family life, which is something that is kind of a work in progress for us of figuring out how we can be more consistent in that area. But the great thing about F3 is it once again it creates consistency with that faith aspect.
Mhm.
When you look at like what are best practices of every morning, they talk about fitness, they talk about breath work, they talk about gratitude, they talk about prayer, and a lot of those are just all covered by one visit to F3. And I think that's one of the most powerful things is that you end each morning with gratitude, with that attitude of thank you so much for this day that we're given, and you do it in a manner when you're surrounded by a group of guys that you can pray together and you can share what's on your minds and what's on kind of what's on your plate that you need help with. You got a friend
Mhm.
that's struggling with cancer, or you have a parent or a child that needs extra prayers during a tough time. And when you can share that and do it as a group and lift all of those prayers up at one time, it's incredibly powerful. And like I said, it would be kind of similar to the fitness aspect. If I'm trying to do it all on my own, I'd probably be pretty inconsistent. When I'm doing it as a group, I have that accountability, and I have that routine that it happens consistently. And even though it's a um, you know 30-second prayer, or if you're with Swiper, maybe 5-minute prayer, it still just has that power to lift things up and lift them together. And you're not only lifting up prayers that are mentioned, but those silent prayers that we all hold on our hearts, that when we connect in that circle, we lift up and just have that true feeling that it's that much more powerful when you're doing it as a group.
Mhm. Yeah, I totally agree, and it's kind of like similar to like all the Fs, right? Are kind of similar, right? In that they ebb and flow, right, throughout life. And I think it's just it's interesting, different seasons of life and what you can and what you have capacity for, right? And did you? I would be curious. Did you grow up sort of in a faith background, or how has that
Yeah.
been sort of throughout the years?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up as a Sunday school kid and
Hmm.
church every Sunday with the family. Dad always had donuts on Sunday morning, and donuts
Yeah.
and Sunday school and church. And um life life's really hard. Life has a ton of challenges. Um I think I was about 30 years old, and I remember reflecting and looking at some of the people around me that were going through some tough times. I had good friends that maybe their family, their parents had gone through a divorce, or themselves, they had some struggles, and had a good friend of mine that lost his dad to cancer. And I just remember like reflecting on my own life and being like, geez, I haven't had nearly as many hardships as my friends, and I'm so lucky. And then I've gone through my 30s and my early 40s here, and I've been like, okay, I kind of probably have
Hmm.
got my share now. And I would just tell you that, yeah, life is so challenging, and such a it has constant hurdles and challenges, that faith is such a huge part of being able to navigate all of that. Without it, I don't know where I'd be. And I also just incredibly grateful for being built in a way to handle the different challenges that I've been faced with, and not only being built for it personally, but being surrounded by people that help me go through those things. And that's why, I mean, I always love starting the day with the workout, because the workout's really hard. And
Hmm.
if you can have a really hard win to start the day with, then those other hard challenges that come your way throughout a day, you feel like you can handle, because you know you can do hard things.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I would be curious, any lessons learned or any of those challenges you would be willing to share with guys just to kind of help encourage them to learn from maybe some of your challenges. Anything you would share deeper on that?
I mean, one of the phrases I always use is never worry alone. Um,
Mm,
I think as men, when we have worry, when we have challenges, we oftentimes will internalize them and we'll think that, we're men, we got to be tough, we got to do this on our own, especially like I grew up in a great family, absolutely blessed with just incredible parents, parents that surrounded me with love and opportunity, and just couldn't have been more thankful for my mom and my dad. And um, I look at my dad, and my dad always drove. Mom rode shotgun, dad's the driver. There's so much like male role, female role that my dad's example was very much like be the leader of the family, carry the big load. And um, I try to do that too now as a dad. And I
mm,
realize that, maybe that's not always the best way to do it.
mm,
It's not something that you should have to shoulder everything, and that's not saying that like it should be more shared with your wife, but just like it's hard to take it all on your own, and you need to be surrounded by great people, and some of those great people are in your family, but some of those great people are also just friends, or they're in the community and they're there to support you. So
mm,
yeah, I think having that mindset of just never worry alone, always know that there's people around you that are probably going through very similar things or have gone through similar things. And when you're able to share that and seek advice, or just know that you have somebody there that maybe can't solve it for you, but has your back and is going to support you and is willing to maybe share resources or anything like that with you. That's just such a huge
mhm.
support and relief.
I love that. I think that's really solid, insight just for guys. It's funny, like I remember in F3 early on, I struggled with like, well, I don't think I know how to have like without sports or, for me, it was like without sports or drugs or alcohol, I don't know how to have a friendship with somebody, right? But it's like stuff that it sounds simple, right? Never worry alone, but just this idea of like get comfortable being able to verbalize some of those things with it, at least one other person, right? So that you're not having to go through that alone. Because I think at least for me, the my mind can sometimes be an unkind place, right? And if I just leave it in there, I'm not likely to work through it in a healthy way. So I love that advice.
I'm great at giving advice. I don't know if I'm good at advice.
Yeah,
There's a lot of times when I say things, I'll be like, trying to support someone or help someone, and I'll be like, I need to take that on advice to myself a little bit
yeah,
more.
yeah.
Instead
That's
of
yeah,
advice, just need
that's
to
all
live
right.
it.
I would love to hear too, I guess, just kind of through the conversation and just getting to be around you. Where do you think this like the humor sort of part of things comes from? Like what is that something your dad was he like that or when
Oh
did
yeah,
you learn the importance of that?
my dad has a good sense of humor, but yeah, I don't know. I love to laugh. I mean, life, like I said, life's hard. Life has its
Mhm.
challenges, and I also know life is short and I want to enjoy it. And that's probably how I deal with stress sometimes, is just having a laugh here and there while still looking at how to approach some of the problems and challenges you're faced with. But yeah, I like to have fun. I have a fairly creative mind when it comes to different, humor situations. I used to, one of our workouts we do annually at the farm, if we get invited back. We've been invited back, I think 2, 3 straight years, is a mowing workout.
Oh,
Me,
nice.
Amy, and a guy named, what did we name? I think we named him Snapper. Uh, we ran a lawn service together for many years. And when you're mowing lawns, like you just have a lot of creative time to think. You're
Uh-huh.
just doing something where you're just kind of walking and thinking, and just, yeah, a lot of the humor comes from that time where I got a little bit of free time to think and come up with some creative, fun ideas to keep things lively. That's really what I tried to do at the steel mill. Is just every week think about, okay, what's our angle this week, and uh, how can we make it fun, and how can we get the different him out to get the workout in and enjoy it and connect with each other. So
I love it. It's
Absolutely love humor.
It's probably, just thinking about from a leadership perspective, right? I'm sure it makes you more approachable, right? Because people, you don't take yourself too seriously. People, and so then more people are willing to come to you with things. But I don't know, has that been your experience at work or?
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
A lot of people. I mean, my humor is it's a pretty dry sense of humor. It's I say some things sometimes like I can't tell if he's serious or not. And Feeney tells people the rule, which I don't think is fair. But Feeney says 90% of what I say is false and made up. I said, not 90. I said, maybe 50. He's like, no,
Yeah.
it's 90. So people, me and Feeney graduated high school together. And people will say, oh, did you guys graduate together? And I'll always be like, well, yeah, I graduated from, you know, Monarch High School, but I always tell him Feeney had to go to the alternative high school
Uh-huh.
because he failed out. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, how did you become a teacher then? I'm like, oh, long.
Just push it, just the long hard road, he just
That's like when I told everybody G string. When everybody's new, they're like, G string, where did he get that name? And I'm like, well, he was a little overweight as a dancer and he's trying to get back in shape to get employment back. And we get that rumor going. I'm sure he appreciates that.
Oh, that is awesome. I do like making up the story, right, for how a guy got his name. I
Oh,
just, especially if you're right next to the guy, yeah, that's always awesome. Well, talk to me a little bit. So, think about our mission, right? Invigorate male community leadership. And obviously, you're in a leadership role at work. You've held some different leadership roles within F3. What would be curious, like when you think about F3 and some of the things we're doing, how do you think we're doing at like equipping men to lead? Or are the sort of opportunities and things we're trying to teach guys? Do you feel like those are helpful or impactful, or what was your experience?
yeah, 100%. I mean, leading is so energizing. Um, it's really great to see someone do their VQ and just see
Mm-hmm.
the kind of emotional high that comes off of that and how it pulls them into the group even more. I love leadership. I'm not saying I'm great at it by any means, but I've always had a passion for it. I've always loved it. Um, it's something that I study and I continue to study. I think it's something you can always get better at. Kind of goes back to I was a pitcher in college, not a very good pitcher. But like when you pitch, even when you pitch really well, you could always do better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I kind of think leadership has a big similarity to that. Like you can always lead better and you can always grow at it. And the great thing about F3 is there's so many opportunities for leadership and that the leadership torch continues to get passed and passed and passed. And you see so many different individuals that step up and take charge. And not only do they step up and do a leadership role, but then they grow in that role. You know, you see people take over a shovel flag and grow a site, or you see people, queue for their first time and then queue for their second, third, fourth, and some of them get a little addicted to it even because
Mm-hmm.
it's such a powerful experience where you're able to, um, just do a variety of things with not only working out, but then sharing a COT and leading a prayer and just the energy that can come from that is really powerful. So yeah, I'm so thankful for everything that F3 has given me. I mean, there's so many things I take from F3 and then apply, like just simply the mission.
Mm-hmm.
When I joined F3, I was like, man, they have it figured out here. It's a simple mission that everybody knows. Like I go to I here at the high school when I took over, we didn't really have a clear like mission statement, and I was like looking at our mission statement and it was like, oh shoot, it was like 3 sentences with a bunch of flashy words. I'm like, oh, this is like, we got to keep it simple. Like everybody should be able to recite it. They should know those keywords. So yeah, it's helped me grow as a leader because F3 has such a strong culture that I can learn from that culture and then I can apply it to other areas of my life. And I know that the leadership qualities that F3 instills have not only helped me, but they've helped so many other PAX members.
Yeah. Yeah, the mission statement is key. I'm in the process of doing that right now at my work, right? Where it's like we have 3 or 4 different visions and missions, and the use of flowery flowery words, right, that like look good on paper, but like nobody knows what they mean, right? And so like, even some of those really simple things, I think translate for sure. So just curious, what's your mission now at the high school?
Our mission statement is that we are going to provide a high impact educational experience that builds character and creates opportunities. So it's high impact,
Oh, it's
build character,
beautiful.
create opportunities. Like it's simple and but the funny thing is I lead when I start a staff meeting, I always lead with that. And half the
Mhm.
time I'm sitting there thinking to myself, the F3 mission statement, and I'm just waiting for the time when I say
You're
the
gonna
wrong.
mix it up.
You're looking at me like, what? Like we're here
Yeah.
to build male community leadership? What? So,
Oh, I love it. That's phenomenal. I love that. I think it's really cool. What about when you think about your time as a site Q, what was that like? And then would love to sort of hear like any advice or lessons learned for guys that are site Qs now. Any takeaways?
yeah, I mean, I loved it. I was always afraid to take over the role because I'm like, can I make that commitment? Can I be
Mm.
there each week? What if, different things happen in life and I can't make it and I was always trying to wait for that perfect time. I mean, I almost probably could have taken over 3 or 4 other, shovel flags here and there. And for some reason, Steel Mill was just like, yeah, this is the right time. And, I didn't know if I would be ready for it. But once I was given the opportunity, it was something that was just a lot of fun. I just really enjoyed
Mhm.
it. I mean, I could I could still be doing it now. Like I was not in a hurry to pass the flag just because I enjoyed it that much. It lets you connect with different packs. It lets you build something that already has such a strong foundation and carry on the tradition. So yeah, it was something that I just really enjoyed. I would say that on-site coffee is
Mhm.
a great if you can make it happen. That's a great site addition. I think you got to hype up the queue each week.
Yeah.
I was always big on. I don't know if you ever noticed this, but we did a lot of tagging on Twitter when we would get ready to hype up the workout. We would tag some random people. We always wanted Hulk Hogan to show up to one. He was going actually selling some beer one day, and we were like, "Hey, come work out before your beer sales." We were always having fun, just kind of tagging different people. We were always trying to get Jim Flowers to show up, uh, Rusty Lord, whoever we could tag on social media, Rob McCartney. We were trying to get them all
Mhm.
to show up to a workout, but just trying to make it fun, lighthearted, um, highlight our leader and have some fun doing it. So we always did a lot of pictures. I think post workout pictures are great. They create a lot of memories with guys. So coffee, hype, uh, pictures, awards. I think the one of the unique things that started with the steel mill is that award we give each week. I was actually in Sundance's classroom last hour when I was in the halls, and he said, "Hey, my dad won Swole today." And all the kids are looking at him and they're looking at me like, "What?" I said, "I'm friends with Mr. Redford's dad. So just know how old I am. I work out with him in the mornings." And the kids are looking. And, but yeah, to kind of sum that up, coffee, an award like Swole Award is fun.
Yeah.
Having a little hype around the workout, all those things just make it, you know, a fun site to be at.
Yeah, I love it, and I love seeing the awards passed along, right, to different guys. What's the criteria for that Swole Award?
We don't let the rubric be public. That's something that we have a book that's locked that goes from site Q to site Q, and there's a detailed rubric, and you follow the rubric each week, and it leads to the right person. So
Yeah.
I was like a 34-time Swole Award winner, but ever since being site Q, I've never won it again. So
Yeah, I love it. It figure it makes sense an educator, right, that there would be a pretty strict rubric,
yes,
to earn that,
there's
award, so
criteria you have to follow.
yeah.
And I found out this was kind of, I don't agree with this, but one time I had Swole before I was Psych U, and I was trying to think of who to give it to. And I had the best workout out of all the guys there. So I tried to give it to myself. And then they were like, "You can't do that." And there was, but when you're the top guy there, how do you not, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
award?
yeah. I mean, the rubric sort of speaks for itself, right? You should
I
get,
know.
just let the rubric tell the story. I love it.
Got to keep it fair.
What just kind of picking your brain here a little bit too on just leadership and other things you've maybe picked up over the years. Any other insight or wisdom you would share with guys? Like any good resources or I don't know, quotes or things. I love what you said about discipline earlier, but anything else in that space of leadership that you feel like would be worthwhile?
I just think sometimes when we focus on leadership, we're always focused on like what can we get other people to do, and
Hmm.
I'm just a big lead by example guy. Also, I think leadership oftentimes can get really talk heavy, and it's more effective when it's action heavy.
Mm.
Um, and I think as a leader, um, it's I'm more of a bottom up guy than a top down guy. Like I try to, in my job here, I mean, I this morning I was out on 108th wearing an orange vest, directing traffic. Sometimes skids will try to take pictures of me out there laughing at me as I'm trying to wave cars in the parking lot. As soon as I get done here, I'm going to be in the cafeteria sweeping up grapes and wiping down tables. I just think as a leader, there's no job that is too small for you. Like you got to do the
Mhm.
little things, and you got to support others. One of my favorite COTs I always share is um, there's a guy named Walt Bettinger who's the CEO of Charles Schwab, and he tells a story where he was a student at Harvard grad school and he was going for a perfect 4.0, and his grade was like borderline A, B. He really wanted the A, and he showed up for the final in his final class of his graduate degree at Harvard Business School. And he was all nervous. He had all the formulas memorized. And here comes down the aisle the test. And he gets really confused because when the test gets slid to him, it's a blank piece of paper.
Mm.
And he's like, okay, are they giving us scratch paper? Like, what's going on here? And the professor says, I have one question for you. And it's the greatest tip that I can give you as a business leader. And the question was, what is the name of the night custodian who cleans the College of Business each night?
Mm.
And Walt could not answer it. He left it blank. He turned it in and he took the B and he walked out of the room and he went and found the night custodian and introduced himself. And then he learned the name. So
Mhm.
I just that's kind of I'm not saying I'm perfect at that by any means, but I just think when it goes back to leadership for me, it's that everybody matters. You want everybody to be on the same page, and then just that if you really want to truly be a leader, you got to do it by example, and the way you do that is by serving others and supporting others.
Yeah. I had not heard that story, but I love that, and what a great lesson, right? I do think sort of it's tempting, right? You could focus on the title or the position or the authority or all the other sort of worldly things, right? But really leadership is your opportunity to support all the other people around you, and so I think, yeah, I love that. That's really, really, really good
I think
wisdom.
the other thing that comes to my mind is just like in my role, I could probably spend all day just on email, just
Mhm.
back with teachers, emailing back with parents, students email me too. I could spend all day just managing email, and I'm like, no, like to be effective, you got to be where your people are. So like
Yeah.
for being a school setting, like I try to spend as much time as I possibly can where those that I'm leading are. So in the classroom,
Mhm.
hallways, in the cafeteria, and it's not just being visible, but it's being there and being there in a supportive way of how can you help them do their jobs the best they possibly can do. And with students, it's not a job, but it's how can we help them have the best possible experience while they're within our walls of our building.
Yeah, I love it. Well, really appreciate you just taking time to share your story and your journey, and definitely I know I have learned a lot of wisdom shared here, so I appreciate that. Where we kind of like to wrap up is just where do you currently need prayers or support or encouragement when we see you out there? What's maybe something we should check in with you on?
Yeah, that's a great question. And then once again, I'm not great at always sharing those things. But no, I think, I'm a dad with 3 kids that are just really involved and busy, and I want to support them. I mean, I had so many great experiences um as a young man growing up in the Papillion community. I was involved in everything. I mean, I loved, being out and about and participating in sports and doing just about anything I could think of. And as you do that as a parent, it's challenging. I at
Mhm.
times I feel like a
Yep.
taxi driver as I'm going from point A to point B. So sometimes that busyness of life wins.
Yeah.
And for me, it's slowing down and uh, challenging myself to remember to live with gratitude, to live in a place where I'm not so focused on what do I got to do next, what do I got to do next, of slowing down and appreciating those around me and
Mhm.
being more present. Those are the biggest things for me. The present aspect is probably the greatest challenges because I'm always thinking of what did I miss, what do I need to do,
Yep.
that type of thing.
Yeah. So easy to do, and I love what you said about email too, right? I mean, there is a certain time suck, right? That is like email could just, I mean, you could literally spend your whole life just sending and reading emails, but how much value does that add? But I often find myself distracted thinking of like, I need to respond, right? I don't know if inbox zero is like a game or something that I'm going for, but I don't know what value, if I had zero emails, would I feel any more impactful? I don't know, but I love it, man. I appreciate you again, just sharing your journey, appreciate your leadership. And also, I'm hopefully you hear this enough, but man, your role leading, future youth of our country. I mean, thank you for doing that. I think that's a great service to our community, to our state, our nation, all of that. So I appreciate you so much. Let's just we'll do a little Mamorama to wrap us up here. I'll start us off. Brandon Flaherty, 39, The Plague.
The Plague, Jeff Spilker, 43, Rooney.
Rooney. And do we have a call sign? Do you have a call? Is Swiper
Uh,
giving you any?
Swiper, in a really annoying way, just yells Grace because in the movie, Mr. Rooney's always chasing Ferris, and this is Grace, and yeah, he's just always yelling Grace. So
I
not one
love it.
that's really stuck as well as some, but
Yeah.
there's fun callback signs
Yeah.
out there. We had one that we named a guy. We got to find this guy. Maybe this podcast can lead to it. But we had a guy come to a master's workout at the steel mill.
Mm-hmm.
We named him Nance after Jim Nance,
Mm-hmm.
and his callback was "Hello, friends," and it was the best callback ever. And we've never found him again.
He
So
never came back.
if anybody knows Nance out there, we need him back so we can have his callback of "Hello, friends," and it's like
Get
a
him
really
back.
cool Masters golf "Hello, friends." So
Yeah, I love it. Well, I appreciate you, man. Have a good rest of your day.
thanks a lot, you two. Take care. Appreciate it.
Scars on our hands, hope in our chest. We're not defined by the weight of the test. Brothers in step, we carry the flame. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop, yeah. Every man's got a story inside. Standing strong, we won't hide. Every man, yeah. Every man's got a story. We've been broken, we've been bruised, but we rise again and we don't get to choose. Through the fire, through the fight, every man's story burns in the night. Scars on our hands, hope in our chest. We're not defined by the weight of the test. Brothers in step, we carry the flame. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. On a story to tell, from the valley low to the mountaintop yell. Every man's got a story inside. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop hill. Every man's got a story inside. Standing strong, we won't hide. Every man, yeah, every man's got a story. Every man's got a story. Voices rise like thunder, they roll. Truth in the pain, it's shaping the soul. Chains may rattle, but they break in time. Every man's story is yours and mine. From the struggle to the glory, every man's got a story. In the dark or in the light, we keep marching through the night. Every man's got a story inside. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop hill, every man to the